Good morning and happy Wednesday. I'm Riley King, and welcome to The Riley King Show. Today is Wednesday, January 28, 2026. Coming up on today's program, New Hampshire marks 40 years since the Challenger tragedy. State leaders pull a proposal bike registration fee after public backlash. Lawmakers scramble to close an auto safety gap following the repeal of vehicle inspections. Governor Ayotte announces key judicial and agency nominations. Plus, security cameras capture an RPG attack on a Filipino mayor's SUV. The NTSB cites systematic failure in the deadly Midair collision over the Potomac. A report reveals 2 federal agents opened fire in a fatal shooting of a Minneapolis ICU nurse. As President Trump says, immigration operations in Minnesota will be de-escalated slightly. We'll also cover the major winter storm that killed at least 42 people nationwide. A NASA research jet making a fiery hard landing in Houston. And President Trump standing by Homeland Security Secretary Christa McAuliffe after false claims in Alex Pretti case. Let's get started now. First up, New Hampshire remembers Challenger tragedy 40 years later. Today marks the 40th anniversary of the Space Shuttle Challenger disaster, which claimed the lives of 7 crew members just 73 seconds after liftoff on January 28, 1986. Among those killed was New Hampshire teacher Christa McAuliffe, who was chosen from more than 11,000 applicants to become the nation's first teacher in space. The Concord High School social study teacher left behind her husband and 2 young children. McAuliffe's death deeply impacted the Concord community and the nation. Her legacy lives on through schools bearing her name and the McAuliffe Shepherd Discovery Center, the state's official space science memorial. Ceremonies and remembrance are being held nationwide to honor the crew of the Space Shuttle Challenger and their lasting impact on education and space exploration. Proposed bike registration fee pulled after backlash. A New Hampshire lawmaker is backing away from a proposal that would have imposed a $50 annual registration fee on bicycles and e-bikes statewide. Following strong public opposition, State Representative Thomas Walsh of Hooksett, the bill's sponsor, said Tuesday the measure will not move forward, though he maintains there should be a broader discussion about how bike paths and rail trails are funded. Speaking at a legislative hearing that sparked, Walsh urged critics to stop targeting the Transportation Committee over the proposal. Dozens of cyclists testified against the bill, including students and longtime riders who said the fee would discourage biking and add financial strain. Some warned they would take their riding to neighboring states rather than pay to use New Hampshire trails. Walsh said parts of the proposal went further than he intended, including the possibility of applying fees to children's bikes. But said the question of who should pay for maintaining public trail infrastructure remains unsolved. Lawmakers rush to address auto safety gap after inspection repeal. New Hampshire lawmakers are moving quickly to address an unintended consequence of the repeal of the state's vehicle inspection program, which is set to take effect this week. A provision in the state budget eliminates the legal definition of an unsafe vehicle, temporarily leaving state police without authority to cite drivers for defective cars starting this weekend. State Senator Tim of Merrimack said lawmakers need to provide clarity to protect drivers and maintain road safety. The Senate is fast-tracking legislation to restore the definition of unsafe vehicle, with a vote expected Thursday. The House is not scheduled to meet again until next week, raising concerns about a brief enforcement gap. Ayotte announces key Judicial and Genesee nominations. Governor Kelly Ayotte has announced a slate of nominations for several top positions in New Hampshire state government. Ayotte has nominated Danielle Will to fill a vacancy on the state Supreme Court left by Justice Barbara Hance Marconi. Will currently serves as a Supreme Court judge and previously worked as a solicitor general under former Governor Christa McAuliffe. For the Office of Child Advocacy, Ayotte nominated Diane Fenton, replacing Cassandra Schertz, whose term will not be renewed. Fenton most recently served as legal counsel for the Department of Education. The governor has also selected Chris Elms, the Deputy Commissioner of Energy, for an open seat on the Public Utilities Commission, citing a focus on protecting ratepayers. To lead the Department of Business and Economic Affairs, Ayotte is nominating Lucy Lang, ending a month-long vacancy at the agency. Security cameras capture RPG attack on Philippine mayor's SUV. Security cameras captured the moment suspects launched an RPG attack on a mayor in the Philippines, striking his SUV on the street. The mayor is okay, but 2 members of his team were injured. NTSB cites systematic failure and deadly Potomac Midair collision. The NTSB pointed a series of systematic failure that caused the deadly mid-air collision between an American Airlines flight and a U.S. black helicopter over the Potomac that killed 67 people. Report 2 federal agents fired in a fatal shooting of Minneapolis nurse as Trump says U.S. will de-escalate immigration operations. 2 federal agents opened fire in the fatal shooting of a Minneapolis ICU nurse, Alex Pretti. It comes as President Trump says the administration will de-escalate federal immigration operations in Minnesota a little bit. At least 42 dead as major winter storm grips the U.S. At least 42 people have died nationwide from the major winter storm. It comes as below zero wind chills grip the northeast, and below freezing temperatures reach down to Florida. Meanwhile, over in Tennessee, thousands are without power. NASA research jet makes a fiery hard landing in Houston. A NASA research plane made a fiery hard landing in Houston, Texas. The jet landing gear appears to fail before the aircraft skids on its belly across the runway, with flames tailing behind it. Trump backs Kristi Noem after false claims about Alex Pretti shooting. President Trump is standing by Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem after she falsely accused Alex Pretti of brandishing his gun and said he was there to kill law enforcement. Thank you for watching this edition of The Riley King Show. Enjoy the rest of your day, and talk to you all tomorrow. Bye now.